Here we go. It's 2024. It's the first at the buzzer of the new year. With me, as always, is my partner in crime, the guy who doesn't know the meaning of the word golf energy. G, how you been, brother? It's the first time we've connected all year.
Hey, that's true. Happy New Year to everybody, and doing well, man. It's getting cold, I think, across everywhere these parts. You guys are feeling it a bit more than us, but I'll tell you, man, I'm happy to be inside. Very thankful for that.
All I'm saying is stay inside, stay warm, G. That's all I've got for you, brother. Um yeah, it's like minus 33 tomorrow, minus 39, something like that.
You got the wood
So
stove
yeah,
going.
we got the wood stove going for sure. Yes, we do.
Awesome.
Um, well, it's been about a month, gee, since we've last spoke, and it's been about a month since I've been on the sports network. As I
Mm.
took a bit of a break. We got a lot to say and 2 hours to say it in, so let's go.
Yeah, well, um, man, 1 month ago, can you remember what was going on in the association December 11th?
Yeah, we were talking about Halliburton turning around the Pacers.
Hmm.
We were talking about how the Clippers were struggling to acclimate James Harden. We were talking about the Lakers winning the NBA Cup.
That's
That was
right.
about a month ago, dude.
Yeah, because I was thinking I came home from Mexico around the 11th or 12th, and
Yeah,
that was
you had
it.
the Lucha Libre Rey Mysterio mask going. I remember that. Yes.
Oh, man. Yeah, so that's quite the change. Like, I mean, that's a lot. That's number of storylines to go off of just in the differences from then to now. But what's got your attention most over the last month?
The officiating. I'm not pulling any punches. I'm going right for it. And you know me as a Laker fan, you'd think I'd be walking on cloud nine right now. But you know me, the game always comes first. And what we saw 2 nights ago in Los Angeles was absolutely atrocious.
I
And I wouldn't be surprised if the fans in Toronto uh put up a GoFundMe for uh Darko's $25,000 because there's no way he should have been fined for that. There's no
yeah,
way that game should have ended the way that it did. Um, it's appalling, and this is coming from a guy that was on the winning side of it.
yeah. Well said. Well said. There's so many things to say about it, but that's it. If you can look at it objectively from a basketball point of view,
It's
it,
the integrity of the game, dude,
yeah,
and that's what I don't want in June when the two top teams in the league are going at it in a best of seven series, and then it gives the critics something to say. Oh, they wanted that team to win.
mm,
I don't want the league to be viewed at in that light.
yeah,
So
man, yeah,
so yeah, the Lakers won. Big whoop. You damaged the league.
yeah. Like significantly so. We have tape. People will always be able to go rewatch that and point to a moment in the league where integrity was like escorted out of the building in the fourth quarter. It was taken outside and left it in the cold for a few hours. All integrity
My,
in the game.
my thing is now everything looks bad.
Yeah, and it downplays this. It's like the boy who cried wolf thing, where it downplays then the actual serious cases when people are crying about the officiating on and off all season, and then there's serious ones and it gets buried because people are just complaining all the time. So it's like, oh, people are just complaining about the refs again. Whereas this one was like, no, we were assaulted by the refs. It
Well,
was.
you think about it, because as a Laker fan, we probably get picked on more often than others by the other fan bases in the league, because they already feel like we get special treatment.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, G, this does not help the Lakers case at all.
No, I don't imagine even the Lakers fandom was overly um, like proud. Like I haven't checked, but didn't
How
get the
could you
sense.
be? How could you be?
Ask LeBron and AD. They were beaming. They were just like, "Hey, what can you say? A man puts in the hard work and you get rewarded. We didn't foul, they did. That's the story." It's like, I guess that's what you have to say, but they seem to enjoy the whole experience quite a bit.
Yeah, but it was a dark day, at least for this Laker fan,
And for
because
basketball
now
fans, yeah.
because now anything we accomplish is looked at under a microscope.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Man, yeah. And yeah, it
And
downplays the victories, right? Because it's so
and
clear that,
here's the thing that irritates me the most, V. I know how much you love this game, and how much we both love this league, and how much we've invested in it. That sparkle in your eye is not the same. Usually when we do the podcast, you're all hyped and like, let's go, let's get our dudes of the weekend, stuff like that.
man,
This week, you can kind of see like
it was a
your
gut.
demeanor has changed a little
It,
bit,
it was like I got in a
and that
fight with my partner or significant other. It feels like, it feels like something like horrible has happened type of experience where the taste in the mouth is like an actual gut punch.
and that's the whole deal, brother. Like, I don't get me wrong, I want to compete and I want to win, but not at the expense of the game.
Uh,
And it feels like we just set the game back about a decade right now.
yeah, and Darko said it best too when he was talking about the buildup. Like we've seen it happen in different ways in different games, a lot for the Raptors, especially over this season. But for it to then escalate in such a way that is so unprovoked, you know, it's just like we were in the way of something that needed to happen, and they weren't going to see it any other way, and we're just going to drive it through. And yeah, the exchange of that is not worth it to me because you set the game back 10 years for a guy that's retiring and already gets all the publicity, all the things. It's like you didn't need anything at this moment in time.
And
Um,
usually me, when I come into this podcast and you kind of go, oh, the Lakers skated by it on that one. And I'm kind of like, we're the Lakers, we're the greatest team. What I saw 2 nights ago in Los Angeles was absolutely the worst thing possible for the game.
man,
And,
yeah,
Laker Nation might take my purple and gold stripes from me for this one. But what they don't realize is this affects everybody.
yeah. And yeah, everybody saw what happened, right? Like nobody's that blind that you didn't see Austin Reeves driving in the key, air between him and the guy, stop, pop, the ball hits the ground pretty much, and then they call the foul. Like there's things that were so late that like you
I,
can't
I
defend it.
mean, I mean, you. you actually waited for me to text first. Usually, when something happens, you're the guy that informs me. And you waited until the next day and you waited until the afternoon, and I was like, last night was a bad look for the league. So
Yeah, I was speechless.
this is not me this is not me having time to think about it. This is not me defending the Lakers. This is me taking pride in what this league used to be.
Yes. Yes, I think so, man. And it's just not yeah, it's not a tough look. It's not a good look. It's something that I think, yeah, nobody want paying for that. Nobody's signing up for the Harlem Globetrotters to be on national TV. We're watching Scotty Barnes, all these exciting players play to their highest capacity, and just the Raptors playing better than ever, and just being trounced like that by an outside force that, like you said, the league didn't need this right now. What they needed was to address the officiating issue, because there was the Celtics thing going on. There was LeBron in 3 nights ago. There was like all these things. And then they give Ben Taylor direction to do something like that. It boggles the mind, man. It's not in the player's interest, and it's not in the business interest. It's like short term somebody's interest, and then it's
You know, and I don't mean to spend a lot of time on this because the last thing we want to do is take away from the talent that's on the floor. But this is such a big issue for the both of us. And usually we're coming in, we're smiling, we're high fiving, we're telling
yeah.
people this, that, and the other.
Mm.
But the thing about it is, if the one thing you get right is the officiating, win, lose, or draw, you have to get the officiating right. And I'm not saying the Lakers have never benefited from a call because they have. I'm not saying we haven't been cheated on a few calls because we have. But those were isolated incidents. And I
Mm.
can deal with an isolated incident. But when you have a disparity of 25-2 in the fourth quarter of a 1 point game,
That, to be clear,
that
it
is
wasn't
something.
close at any point, right? Like it got close because of the free throws. Like people are coming back with the idea that the last 10 free throws were intentional, so they shouldn't count. And really, it's not that big of a disparity, right? It's like, no, they
You know
had
what
to
that is?
intentionally foul because the gap was
You know
closed
what
that the
that is?
Raptors had.
That's an excuse.
It's
That's
and
what
it's
that is.
trash. I can just, I don't find it logical. It doesn't add up because the
That
Raptors
that
were
that would be
crushing.
like that would be like me not posting a video for a whole year and going, "Why am I not monetized?" Well, you didn't post anything. Well, I was busy. Well, YouTube doesn't care about that. You don't
Yeah,
want your excuses. I don't want excuses.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
every every
exactly.
team every team intentionally fouls when they're down by less than 10 with about 2 minutes to go. I'm sorry. That's the way the league's been since it was on NBC on Sunday afternoons. Okay,
And
so don't tell me the Raptors had to intentionally foul because they were behind and they shouldn't count because every team does it. And even if you take away those last 10 free throws, you're still down 12 free throws even before that became necessary. So don't use
and
that as an excuse.
and if anybody
Sorry,
watched the game, right? Anybody watched the game, you'll see that we were the aggressor in terms of Toronto being taking it to the hoop, playing quick D, moving the ball. Like there was no laziness, there was no cheap shots. It was everybody just hustling, like back and forth, good basketball. And then Raptors were the dominant, like they were going to win that game clearly in the third. It was like, yeah, if this keeps going, barring any crazy intervention, this is a Raps win because they were just playing that way. And so the idea that the getting close for intentional free throws and all of that, just like it doesn't add up. It doesn't add up to me. But let me tell you, man, Darko, he earned his entire salary in 2 minutes, in my view, in those press conference minutes there. He came out and he didn't blink. He was so fired up. And this is a guy that's so polite, so positive. Every time he takes a loss as a learning lesson, spins a positive thing. He came out so hot. And he just told it like it was, man. And he stood up for his guys in ways that I bet you the whole NBA witnessed and are like, I'd like to play for that guy because he cares on a level that's like, wow. You know, it's really worth
Well,
watching.
that's the whole deal, and I'll take it a step further. What I really appreciated is the next day they asked him the same question. He's like, "I'm standing for my guys every time. Doesn't matter. I'm not changing my opinion. I said what I said." And that to me was more impressive because usually what you'll see is a fired up head coach
Mm,
that kind of loses his tongue a little bit. And the next day he goes, I shouldn't have said that, whatever. No, Darko doubled down and was like, you can find me all you want. I'm staying with my guys. And I
man.
almost find that more impressive than the rant itself.
Yeah, because there's honestly guys will choose which teams to go play for a lot based on some key factors, and the coach and culture is one of them. So he just let everybody in the NBA know, like, man, just the genuineness that was there, the fire and the passion and the hurt, like the genuine personal nature he took it of like, you just hurt his child. It felt like somebody had hurt his family and he was so lit up uh, that's the energy you would want in your corner, man. It's like somebody that treats you that like family. It's really inspiring to see that on a public stage. It's crazy, actually.
Well, you don't see that enough.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't you don't see it enough where, somebody is willing to stand up for their guys.
And sometimes you get the Greg Popovich or the Nick Nurse that'll be like a gruff sort of like, that's bullshit, and it's standing up for their guys. It's Doc Rivers being like, oh, da da da, you know, but I've never seen a coach just like, yeah, protect them like it was his very family, like they had tried to hurt his fucking like son. It was like, yeah, I haven't seen that in any sort of modern sports thing, man.
And that's the thing. Like and that's the thing. Like people have to understand too that with Darko, he's the new guy, but he set the tone for the rest of the season in that post game press conference.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. I was almost ready to sign Pascal based off that. I was like, man, it's stick together. It's right. It had that vibe of like, you know what? We've been pushed into the corner as a team. We've been stomped on. And it has a bit of that bad news bears vibe where it's like, you know what? Let's go with these broken pieces. Let's go with this because it has that synergy feeling of his tone. I'd still like to see some moves personally, but his tone set a vibe, like you said, of believing. Like it was potent.
And always it reminded me of the early days of the Raptors in the expansion years
Oh
before
well.
Matty D showed up and we had Chuck Schwartzky. Because
Okay.
and the reason I keep saying that is because Schwartzky had this ability to, even though the Raptors are playing, the Bulls or whatever, even if even if Schwartzky knew that the Raptors were going to be blown out by 30, he never let the audience know that they were going to be blown up by 30.
Yeah.
Schwartzky always gave you the feeling of the Raptors might win tonight.
Hmm.
Even if he didn't believe in himself, he had that ability on the broadcast to be like, we could win this game.
Um,
And that's kind of what it brought me back to is, why are you messing with my guys? This guy's an all-star. He's the face of the franchise. And it was almost like we're going to the playoffs whether you want us to or not, kind of thing.
yeah. Yeah. It was the right kind of chip on your shoulder type of experience of like somebody just bullied your guys. You just got bullied in the playground, and somebody just said, "Nah, I'm standing up to the bully," and just like went and poked him in the chest, right? Like that was him, just like no more bully. He was just
No,
like he was mobilizing the troops, man. It's
and that's kind of the thing. And when your guys see that you're willing to go through a wall for them, they'll go through a wall for you.
in some weird way, it might be the most important thing that happened to the Raptors this season to have gotten insulted that badly, but to have that response from the coach and the greater basketball world to not see people just like dismiss it, but most people kind of agreeing, like, ugh, not a good look for the league. So I think it was affirmed quite a bit.
No, and people have been asking me for the last 3 days because I'm a Laker fan, as I don't hide it on this podcast. But they've been asking me for 3 days, why are you so strongly against not necessarily the Lakers winning, but how they won? And my response to them, G, is okay. Let's say I'm hanging out with somebody, and I love the NBA, and they're not the biggest basketball fan. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, oh, this is the best league in the world with the best players. You just watch. You give it one game, and you'll figure out why I love this so much. And then they see that in the fourth quarter.
Somebody timed it and
That's
said it was like a 45-minute fourth quarter.
that's why I took it personally. Not because the Lakers won, but because if I showed that to somebody who I was just introducing to the game, that's an embarrassment.
Man, and for all the good things that the game does, to insult the game that badly, it's like you're insulting all of us, right? It's like we all get together with our friends, we get together with our families to watch this game and be excited about it, all the great little things, and we don't try to take it too seriously. We have fun, but we take it serious
We
enough, and all
chirp,
these
but it's
things.
not a big deal, you
Yeah, but
know.
then something like this, and it's so deflating to the entire culture and experience. And it's like, for what? For what?
Well, look at it this way.
uh,
I can't speak for you, G, but I really started to second guess my trip down to Portland there because it made me not want to go.
yeah, it's like I can see the Harlem Globetrotters come through town another time. It's like if it's going to be a
Like
staged act.
you remember how hyped I was? I was like, let's go to Portland, let's go to Motor Arena, let's go get this,
Yeah,
let's go do it at the buzzer from Portland.
yeah, man.
And
Uh,
that was just like I don't really want to go because now I gotta hop in the car. I gotta drive 16 hours to Portland. I gotta get tickets to the game. I gotta get a hotel. Like it's a whole investment. And when you have a night like that, it's like, why would I put money into this league?
yeah, it makes everybody question that for a moment. And what a dangerous thing to do business wise. It's like you're betting all your chips on Lakers exclusively. Like that's just bold at this point in the game.
And the league doesn't need this. With everything that's happened with Jaw, with everything that's happened with Draymond, with everything that's happened with Halliburton being hurt, they don't need this negative press right now.
No, they should be building up the Giannis and Embiid showdown that's going to start happening on the regular as it gets closer. They should be focusing on Tatum. They should be focusing on KD. There's interesting superstars doing their thing just as much as LeBron and AD, but it's so like scared money doesn't do anything. And I think NBA has scared money right now. They're like scared to tarnish their golden egg of the Lakers in any way that they're willing to like let the rest go. Like as long as we got our egg, we'll be fine.
But you know what? And I told you earlier they might take my purple and gold card for this. I'm gonna say it anyway. The Lakers aren't as important to the NBA now as they were 25 years ago.
There's too much talent now.
With League Pass, with 24-hour sports networks, with the internet at your fingertips, you can have the score. You can know everything about every player. I'm sorry, the Lakers are not as important to the NBA as they were 25 years ago. And somebody's gonna clip that into a short, and it's gonna go viral. And I don't care because I'm a Laker. I am a Laker fan. It might not sound like it tonight, but that's the honest to goodness truth. The Lakers aren't as important. And here's another doozy: the Celtics aren't as important either.
Mm.
It's a more global game now than it was 25 years ago.
It's trying to be. It's trying to be, but the NBA seems to hate money and expansions. It's like it likes to work with scared money, right? They don't want to take any chances on investing in all these other great things that are happening, and they put all their chips into the one thing that like is yeah, it's always going to be there. But it's a diminishing return thing, like you're saying. It's not as valuable. So to keep betting on it as your sure thing is like
I mean, look, they gave us the Lakers and Celtics for Christmas. Why?
it's just always been that way, right? It's
What have the Lakers done to deserve a Christmas game?
exist, right? That just to be the Lakers.
Yeah, but that's like putting the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. Uh, They get rewarded just for existing.
Yeah, yeah. And there'll be money people that say that the largest revenue for the league by like if you put them all the other ones together might not even come to what Cowboys or Lakers bring in for their respective leagues. And I don't know how true that is, but there is a substantive freaking thing that for whatever reason that's the brand. It went global as the Lakers. It went global as the Cowboys. Um, yeah, I don't know why that is, but I think they could do better business by building on all the other things that are working.
Yeah, but why can't we work on getting the other teams to approach the Lakers or the Cowboys or
It's tough to build a new legend while the
or
other
the
ones will.
Yankees?
Yeah, I mean, can you change it, right? It's like the Yankees will always be the Yankees, Lakers always Lakers, uh, Cowboys always the Cowboys. They're just so stamped on
No,
culture.
but my thing is I'm not trying to catch those teams. My point of view is why can't we increase the value of the other franchises? Because because my point is I know I'm never gonna catch the Lakers. But if I can increase my franchise's value by 5%, that helps everybody.
You would think, man, and maybe they've done the math and they can get away with enough of these things that they're like, yeah, we're still going to be making our gold for money, so we can do whatever we want, and that could be a
Okay,
problem
so
too.
what happens if I see another game like that this year and I go, I'm not getting League Pass next year?
Man, they'll be like, oh, we just got, 20 new fans in the Philippines that are Lakers fans that are going to be buying league pass and jerseys. So all good. They're like, they're playing all sorts of like other
That's my
markets.
point though. If you start pushing away the people that legitimately love your game, it's not a good thing.
No, yeah, they're going to try to do what they always do. And that's balance the economic interest versus the culture. And it seems like in some ways it's going to get a little bit further and further. It's like the economic outweighing the cultural side of the basketball. The people just love it, and it's like we'd rather just sell the image of it rather than the whole love of it. And that's where it's sad. It's like I know you have to do that a bit, but it's just it's deflating as a person that loves the culture, loves the sport so much.
Well, we grew up on it, you
Yeah.
know. That's the whole. That's the whole thing. Like, I was never the biggest Bill Walton fan in the world, right? When he was working for ABC, but he had a unique style and he was different and he made games fun. I
Yeah.
wasn't a fan, but he was different. I appreciated his differentness.
And you would think, man, with everybody being a $1 million athlete getting paid millions of dollars, for 90% of the league to be a joke irrelevant, like any given night could be a 50-point blowout and half the team sitting. It's like, how is the league going to sustain that level of nonsense?
They're not.
It needs
They're
to be
gonna rely.
competitive.
They're gonna rely on you and me to buy league pass
They're going to
because
be hitting other wells.
I can tell you what the philosophy is. Oh, we don't need no new fans. We got these two suckers who are gonna pay $500 a year for two subscriptions to league pass.
Maybe, maybe, but I think we're going to be the market that taps out, because they're not investing in us at all. And we'll be like, at a certain point, this is like NASCAR or something. We're just not interested. And it's like too many ads. It's too many this. It'll be too much. And it's already getting to that point where it's starting to feel like that in certain games where it's like, man, the money just ruined all of this because this is just too much. Um, sponsorships are fine, but when it's tattooed on somebody's forehead or something like that, it's like, all right, now we've gone too far. And I feel like metaphorically, we're at that point for the game of like, they're willing to just like tattoo something on their forehead just to make a buck right now because they don't care.
It's a shame.
Hey,
Let's
that was
talk
the
about
word.
something fun though.
No
Let,
doubt.
let's let's switch gears.
Tie a bow on
And
it.
I'm gonna give a shout out. I'm gonna give a shout out to my boy Rolla for the biggest signing of the week as far as I'm concerned. Eric Spolstra, 8 years, $120 million. Let's talk about something positive. Good for Spo.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
deserves it. I and Rolla, I want you to mark this down. I for my money, for my money, I think Spo is the best coach in the NBA
Okay. Okay. I'll respect that.
because that man gets the most out of the least amount of talent year in and year out.
True enough. True enough.
That's
Would you
my
say
hot
that's the
take for the
system?
episode.
Would you say that's the system of Miami, or is that more him?
I'm gonna give him the credit because before he got there, the Heat were not this. I think Spo's been there long enough to instill his culture on the team, and I think that makes a huge difference.
Yeah, and he seems like he's in a consistent sort of field where he's not had years where they were ever bad. It seems like they've always been decently good. That's rare.
That's
That's
just my take. I think he's better. I think he's the best guy since Popovich, really.
Hey man, then that's money well spent, to be honest, when you look at what they're paying across the roster for, guys that can go in and out and get injured and be way more than what they're paying. Like just taking a look at some of their money here. What is 120 over eight years? That's what is that?
He's what, 15 million a year?
So he's making just under like Duncan Robinson money.
Just under. And
Yeah, I
he's
mean,
worth more than Duncan Robinson.
oh man, right? So like when you're looking at it from an investment perspective for a franchise, what would you rather do? Invest in Duncan Robinson for 3 more years or Spolstra for 8?
I'm taking Spolstra every time, 100%.
Right? Like they should, there's going to be maybe some more coaching elevations like because I mean he's making double, or sorry, half of what Hero's making, and for yeah.
And people will say, "What? Why do you give it to Spoelstra? Why didn't you say Pop, or why didn't you say Mike Malone or something?" Because those guys, as good as they are, have the talent to back themselves up. Bo has done more with less, year in and year out, and to me, that makes him the best coach in the league. That's just
Oh,
my opinion. Feel free to hate me in the comments. And
so
by the way, while we're here, subscribe to the channel as well.
what do you think about the rumors of LeBron and the Spoelstra reunion of some kind?
Well, if he wants to go back to Miami, they can have him.
Yeah,
They can
yeah,
have him.
yeah. I wouldn't want a
We'll send
40-year
him.
old.
We'll send him by FedEx tomorrow.
Man, like I said, the best thing that could happen for the league is for him to just retire gracefully and go spend some time with his family. You know what I'm saying?
No, because then it would just transfer to somebody else.
Good, good. Shake it up, you know. I think it needs to. It's so tiring to see him still getting all the calls of. Um,
It just be it would just be Kevin Durant instead of LeBron James.
Tell me that wouldn't be refreshing, though. You know, like at least it would be somebody else.
None of it's refreshing though.
Yeah,
That's the problem.
yeah,
But like
man.
you said, they don't care about me because they could easily replace my $250 for League Pass.
Yeah, and it just depends what kind of product they want to build, though, because eventually chickens come home to roost. And if you build a product that's just designed for Disney and like entertainment mass marketing around the world, then that's the quality of the product. And a lot of people are just going to drift off because it's not interesting anymore. And it's just being run for the sake of a circus. And I don't know, if you were in the league, you wouldn't want to be a part of that. And I think a lot of people will be in the same seat, so it's going to be a tough going for either end, because I think the money people constantly want to get up, but the people that love it will always be in the right places, like the right coaches, the right players, the right owners. There's going to be too many people that love the game for it to go too bad, hopefully.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right because, like I said, and I don't want to make it sound like this happens all the time because it's a negative way to look at it. But once is too often.
Yeah, fool me once, fool me twice, fool me 1,000 times.
Because now what happens if it's the Eastern Conference Finals or the Western Conference Finals, right?
Yeah.
And we see something like that.
Oh man. Yeah. I mean,
And
but hopefully we don't see
and
it.
here and here's my thing. I can watch hockey. I have no problem.
Hey man, I was just gonna say, like, I was like, man, with that game the other day, we might have to switch to movies. Might have to just be a full-time movie cast. I was like, this is just garbage.
And see that's the problem too, is like guys who love the sport don't want to be associated with it after a night like that.
Yeah, even the
And
most
and people
positive of us. Yeah.
and people will be like, "I'll give it a week, you guys will be fine." We don't forget.
No, and think
In
of like
case
an
you
Ernie
never know,
Johnson, right? He's seen it all. The Al Michaels, the Bob Costas. Uh,
the
we've
John
seen it
Maddens,
all.
the yeah,
And even they probably have to take moments where they're just like, oh, this business sometimes is tough, you know, because it just happens, but it sucks when it does, man.
like we do a podcast because we love the sport. And anybody who watches this podcast, first of all, thank you.
Hmm.
Second of all, you're a basketball nerd, probably like us. So we appreciate you even more. But it's
Hmm.
so damn hard when the league takes the joy from the game.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I trying to flip it back to something positive, but it was you know what? You still got me thinking about the money thing of a guy like Spoelstra getting 120 million. Looking at a team like the Washington Wizards, perpetually bad at the bottom, right? Just part of the stink of the NBA.
Yeah, they're like the Florida Marlins.
And it's like, why wouldn't you invest that level of money in a coach? Maybe it's like some of the, you know what? Maybe I'm going to eat my own words as I say this out loud. I was like, why don't they invest in a really good coach and pay him 120 million instead of Jordan Poole and build a team and culture of people that like will thrive under this coach? Detroit tried that, I guess, with Monty Williams, and they almost put a losing streak of the worst of all time.
Well, here's the thing. The Wizards always get it wrong. And the Warriors got it wrong. And everybody's getting it wrong. Because and I guarantee you the views on this podcast will be very low because we're being very negative. But I will say this. Number one, Jordan Poole is not worth the hush money that the Warriors gave him. Secondly, if you're gonna trade him, you didn't have to give him the hush money. You just hosed somebody over. And three, Washington is like the Clippers in the sense that they're gonna do Washington things. And
Yeah.
for people who don't understand my hatred of the Clippers, it's because the Clippers don't get out of their own gosh darn way. And
Yeah.
neither do the Warriors. The Warriors should not have taken the Jordan Poole trade. They got Tyrus Jones. They did get Tyrus Jones out of it, but at the same time, Jordan Poole eats up 100 and something million. Not worth it. And while we're at it, the Warriors got it wrong too because they should have shipped Draymond instead of Jordan Poole. Because I,
Should have shipped
because
them
I,
both.
because if I had to pick one though, I would rather have Jordan Poole than Draymond Green.
No, I'd rather die with Draymond than Jordan Poole. Just
Not this version of Draymond.
I don't know. It's kind of
I'm
funny when
not
he
talking.
takes out big seven
I'm
foot
not talking
euros.
about I'm not talking about Draymond from 5 years ago. I'm talking
Uh,
about Draymond today.
I
He's
think
absolutely useless.
he's gotten a bad
He's
rap.
useless.
You know, he's just trying to be an
He
enforcer.
tried to retire.
Yeah, I
He
saw
tried
those.
to retire.
Yeah.
Defend that. Defend that. I was gonna retire. He said it himself.
And if you just sort of look at it through the lens of somebody that's more, I think, saying he was just stressed to the max and didn't know, and obviously hit a wall. Was like, I can't figure this
Uh,
out, and he's like admitting, in the sense that he's just didn't have the tools or the ability to cope with stress. Essentially, by saying, "I want to retire," it's like I want to quit because it's too much. Like to me, that's saying like not like, oh, I'm like screw you guys. It's more like, oh, I can't walk anymore. You know, I can't swim anymore. I can't go any further. You know, he's just like, I'm done. Man.
yeah, but if you're gonna quit on me in the middle of the season, I don't want you around.
And I think because of who he is with the team, they give him that grace of like, all right, man, take a day, take another day, take a day, you know, one day at a time, and see how it feels to just adapt to a different version of yourself, essentially. Like I think he'd been refusing to change, and then something cracked. And so you could see something cracked. It might not change into something that tangibly different, but you could see, I could tell in some tiny part of him, like there was a crack of like somebody that realized for a moment, oh, like I'm just a mess and I don't know what I'm doing. You know, like I felt like there was a genuine, honest, like, oh, you know, uh,
See,
that means
that's
opportunity for
what
change. All the power to him and all that. But yeah, it was nice to see at least something cracked because before I'd not
that
seen that. All the other apologies, all the other things,
that's
nothing.
why that's why I love you, G, because you're the eternal optimist.
Yeah, I
And
don't know
I
if I have
go back to
optimism, but I did see something that was genuine that I
and I
thought
go
was
back
quite
to what
genuine.
has history shown me.
Yeah,
History showed me that this is Draymond Green.
yeah, yeah. Hey, you know, everything's always changing. Um,
Yeah, you know what's changing? The length of his suspension is getting longer.
he's back now, isn't he? He's back. He's
Yeah, it went from 3 games to 12, though. What do you think happens next time?
yeah, yeah. And I think what the Warriors got blown out last night, and he's supposed to come back, I think tomorrow or something.
He
This is a good
doesn't
time.
make them better anymore, though.
Yeah, so let's
He's
just on the Warriors. What do you do if you're Mike Dunleavy right now and you've got Steph Curry on your team? Trade
here's the
deadlines in
thing.
a month.
Here's the thing I do, and this is gonna be another controversial take, and Golden State Warrior fans come at me in the comments. You said I'm Mike Dunleavy Jr., the GM of the Golden State Warriors. All right, I look at my team. They're 11th in the West. They're old, they're beat up, they're slow, and they're tired. Steph is still worth something. Clay is still worth something. I start shipping these guys out of town while their value is high enough to get something for them. And then as Mike Dunleavy, I I would then at the end of the year go, I resign, peace out. It's been a hell of a run.
I was going to ask, do you get guys that are for the now so that Steph can make a run, or are you
No,
getting guys that he can mentor
no.
to be your future?
You're getting youngsters that he can either mentor or that you're getting draft picks.
So let me
Like
ask you
I'm
this: do you trade Steph at that point because it's only fair to him?
what do I owe Steph Curry?
Same thing as Dame. It's like at a certain point,
I don't owe Dame nothing.
but let's say the option comes up where they could get a haul of hauls. Like they'll get a franchise for Steph Curry and he wants out and you're already selling. Like you're selling all your guys, the dynasty's over, and you could get something that packs you for the future. Like what if OKC gave all of their draft picks, all the, you know what I mean? Like what if it was a haul of hauls for your future?
I would say absolutely, and I'd hang up the phone before they change their minds. Because I'm
Man.
see, here's the thing, and this is where you and I kind of disagree on some philosophically. You and I are different. I look at logically what's going to happen, and logically, I'm going to sell these boys while their value is high, and I'm going to get what I can while I can. So if OKC is dumb enough to give me a haul, I'm gonna say thank you very much. You'll see Steph Curry in 2 days, and I'm hanging up the phone before they change their mind.
Two questions though. Two questions. Do you think these guys, other than Steph, even have real value right now? Because Clay, nobody likes what they're seeing
Perceived
from Clay.
value.
Wiggins,
Perceived value.
nobody sees Wiggins or Clay right now as value. They see them as like, I think they're broken. You know, like nobody's looking at them with like, oh,
No,
we
I
could
know they're
still get
broken.
something out of them. Nobody believes
I
in
know they're
Wiggins.
broken.
Nobody
I
believes
know
in
they're
Clay.
I know they're broken. But you know what else I know? There's an idiot GM that gave Jakob Pertl $80 million. So there's always gonna be a GM out there that says, "I'll take that guy." There's
Maybe.
always gonna be that GM.
Yeah, it could be Washington though. It could be and it's like,
I don't care who it is. I
but
gotta look
even
out for the
then,
future of the franchise.
but I don't think you're getting much for Clay, and I don't think you're getting much for Wiggins, honestly.
You don't think I can get that much for Clay?
Dude,
When Pirtle
no,
got number one, Jakob Pirtle got $80 million,
he's 10 years
and
younger.
Rudy Gobert got 5 draft picks.
But you got to look at the context of Clay. Everybody thinks he's washed up right now. He's negative. He takes too many shots. He doesn't play defense, and it's all showing. He's too big a profile for it to be hidden. And it's like the jury's out. Like they've given him a chance over and over again to like, oh, maybe it's a bad month. Maybe it's a bad season. He's just not there anymore. And so I don't think there's that value.
But neither is Steph.
Oh, Steph, come on.
Steph's not there.
What about the game there where it was Bucks and Spurs, and then it
Oh,
was Golden
so
State
so we're pi-
versus
so
with
we're
the
picking and choosing. So
with
we're picking and choosing games now, are we?
no with the rainbow freaking one touch
I
game
saw.
winning buzzer.
I saw.
That was
I've
transcendent.
also seen.
That was like,
I've also seen Steph miss that shot 20 times.
yeah, I guess, but nobody in the world does it like that. Like there's. I think most people agree he's still one of the most lethal players in the league, whereas those other guys are washed up.
Okay, let me bring you back to reality here. And I hate to be the one to do this to you, G. But Steph used to be able to drag this Warrior team kicking and screaming to seventh in the Western Conference.
But that was with like even basic competent players. Like he's got nothing
No,
this year.
no, I'm talking about the old school. He dragged this team kicking and screaming. And
I'm not saying he's
he's
prime.
not
I'm not saying he's prime Steph Curry,
he's not there.
but in comparison of value, it doesn't even compare what you would get from
Steph
Steph.
has what's called perceived value. Steph doesn't actually give you value.
No,
Look at how much the Warrior.
if you traded Steph rather than Wiggins and Clay, because I think you get peanuts for them, whereas you could get a nice gold bar from trading Steph.
I think everybody's gonna go. I think we gotta burn this thing to the ground.
You got to start at the top, I think. Don't leave Steph there as the last man on a shit team. Let him go first. Get a
Why?
huge.
What do I owe him?
I think it's no purely in Golden State's interest to get a haul for him now because he is their best asset. He's their only asset. I would trade it in now because, like, I'm telling you, man, nobody's going to want Thompson or Wiggins or Kuminga for that matter with his stunt of calling out the coach in the middle of the season and putting out something like that amongst the drama. Like nobody's wanting that on their team. So they've got like almost no assets so if I were Golden State, Mike Dunleavy, I'd be thinking, I got to sell Steph high. Who's going to give me the most? And then I'll start selling from there. Because, man, he's your best chance at rebuilding something for the future, or you just let it.
I think what happens to the Warriors is they become a lot like the San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah.
See, you're looking for a rebuild that is just not happening.
But you could start it by trading Steph.
Do you really think that he's that good?
I think you could get something decent for him. Like probably good a haul as you could get for somebody as anybody in the league, to be honest. Whether that's in that
His
team's best
numbers,
interest, who
his
knows?
numbers are still decent. You're right,
Like
but
he's,
are they empty calorie numbers? Like
I don't think
I
so
just
with Steph. I think he's so consistent. It's just that his team is this much worse. It's just so bad that even like his numbers are almost more impressive given how bad they are, as a team.
because Steph is giving you 26.7 per game.
And those are hard earned.
Uh, Clay is number 2 at 17.1.
Man.
The problem is, the problem is right here. Steph is averaging less than 5 assists per game.
I mean, not really looking to him for a ton of that as much as being a consistent scorer, I think. But either way, I think he's got value in the sense of might not be a great investment for a team elsewhere, but like you said, there's a dumb GM that'll be like, dude, I'll pay anything to have Steph Curry for a year. There's going to be somebody that wants that just for the sake of having the most exciting player sometimes to just be on there for a year. He would probably do it, whether you're OKC or Miami or who, championship contenders.
If I'm looking for if I'm a contender though, and I'm looking at that Golden State roster, the way it's currently constructed, I'm like, why would I want a guy who's the best player on a team that's both in the West?
Look, you look at the rest of the roster and you go, oh, that's because the team is as bad as anything in the league. It's like
I
they
I
should
don't know
be
what
in 15th. They should be in 50. They should be in 16th if there was one. If it wasn't for
I'm
Steph, they
I,
would be.
I'm just saying I don't believe in Steph Curry as much as you do
That's
at
fair.
this point.
But I definitely don't think that Wiggins and Clay are a better sell just money wise. Like you're not going to get much. They've got bad mojo and a bad look right now. Like there's a stink
Do you know
on.
how much? Do you know how much bad mojo's in the league that get traded?
Eventually, but I just mean right this second, it's got a really bad stink. So you'd like Levine, he can't get moved until the stink's gone on him. It's like it
Well,
won't
he
go.
just got back, so
He's got to
at
get it
least he's
off now.
playing.
Yeah, no, now he has to try to get it off, right? He has to try to show the league that he's not stinky and he can still do good stuff, but it's going to take some time.
I don't know because there's this guy named Ben Simmons who got moved for James Harden, and he didn't do squat for anybody ever, and
But he
he
never got,
still got traded.
yeah,
Huh?
that's a very special, unique case, though, isn't it? Of like somebody that
Oh,
knows,
is it?
yeah. I
Oh,
mean,
is it? It's a special case. Is it really? Are you sure about that?
I don't think the NBA's ever had somebody dupe them that hard and still get paid. Like usually the NBA is good and smart enough to make sure guys that just punk out don't get paid for full years. He found a way to do it, and not many people do that. And so I do think it's unusually like a case of unusualness because of how he.
Kawhi Leonard.
I mean, can you even put them in the same sentence?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. He ducked out after 9 games.
But I mean, look where he is now, and look where Simmons is now.
Oh, so
It's
you're just moving the goalpost now.
put it wherever you want. If you put Simmons and Kawhi's anything up to anything, like
Kawhi hasn't done anything.
in what world?
What do you mean in what world?
Two-time
Kawhi
MVP, two-time.
Is no different than Ben Simmons.
I mean, I won't even respond to that. That's just nonsense. That we'll leave that for the
No,
people to
that's the truth.
respond.
That's the truth.
I'm not biting. I'm not biting on this one.
It's the truth. He was gifted two Finals MVPs when his teammates were better.
I'm okay
He
with letting
failed in San Antonio.
this one's so far out of the realm of even like conversation that
The
I don't
facts
have a
speak for
response.
themselves.
I won't
The
have a
facts speak
response.
for themselves. The facts speak for themselves.
And the sky is purple. The sky is green. You
Oh,
know.
I'm sorry. Did I hurt feelings? I'm facts over feelings, brother.
No, there's no feelings about anything because it's nonsense of nothingness. So it's all good.
Okay, let's not use Kawhi. There's this other dude. His name is Kyrie. He
Yeah.
fooled everybody and still got paid too. So it's not as abnormal as you think it is.
But those are odd cases. Like the majority of the league does not get away with it.
This is all in the last five.
2 out of 300 is by definition abnormal,
That's
right?
three. You have to
Okay.
count properly.
3 out of 300, more than 300 over 3 years. So that's abnormal still.
AD got paid.
Right. But he didn't milk it for
AD's
multiple
always hurt.
seasons. I guess.
Zion got paid.
But it's not even similar to Simmons, though. Like, there's
Kevin Durant
injuries.
got paid. Like these
And
guys are all hurt and they all get paid. This is not an abnormal thing.
each of those guys is currently playing except Simmons.
But why? See, this Kawhi's got everybody fooled. Kawhi is the most annoying player in the NBA.
When he raises the third MVP and the third NBA championship trophy, he will have you fooled.
He's got three. What are you talking about? This would be
No,
number four.
he's going to get. Oh, geez, see, there we go. He's even more impressive than I thought. Um,
The
yeah,
first two he was gifted, like I said, but that's my opinion.
that's a matter of opinion for sure. Yeah.
And he's a Clipper, so he's guaranteed himself he's never gonna win again.
The world is changing, and
Not if you're a Clipper. Clippers always do Clipper things. Remember when Lob City came in? Remember it was Chris Paul and Blake Griffin, and they had all these people, and this was going to be a different era for the Clippers.
I wouldn't
Guess
say there's
what?
any.
They didn't even get out of the second round.
Well, they didn't get the
Clippers
memo
do Clipper
about.
things.
They didn't know you had to pay the refs as much as what your salary is every year. Not like some teams, but hey, we all don't have Hollywood money.
I don't got Hollywood talent either, but that's another story.
You think the Lakers got any left?
No, which is why I keep telling you the Lakers aren't going anywhere.
Dude, they're going to end up in the championship because of this league and how it's called and run and stuff, like
They're not good. We done this earlier in the year. Remember, I put at least four teams ahead of the Lakers in the West. That's not even
but
including the East.
but whenever the league wants them to win, they will, like in-season tournament. Just magically, that's when they got really good and from shitty, really good, and then back to really shitty. Like, seems odd, but okay. And then shitty playoffs, really good, unbeatable. And then it's just like that pattern's too, you know, a little repetitive.
You want to? I could say the same thing about Ty Lue's entire coaching career.
Yeah, I got nothing really to say about Ty Lue.
See, Cleveland was really good, and then he let he his team left. He got shitty, and then he went and he got real good, and he got overrated. Then he got shitty, and somehow he wound up on the Clippers, and they're still shitty.
they got a way better team than the Lakers, but we'll see. We'll see if they get there.
Neither one of these teams in LA is going anywhere, either by definition or by history.
But here's the thing: they shouldn't. But one of them will probably. I would put money on it. One of them will be in the NBA championship because of the current.
Nope.
No, if the world was run according to order and rules and of all those things that make the thing go around, then no. But because it often gets spun by whoever's got the most money, one of those teams will be in the thing. It's just what the league's telling me right now.
I disagree. It's going to be Denver or Phoenix.
If the league wants to send me a message about who's going to be in the finals, like I got the message the other night, it's like they're going to do
The
that.
Lakers are the fifth. The Lakers at best are the fifth most talented team in the West.
Probably lower, but they will.
No, I said at best.
Yeah.
I said at best they're the fifth most talented. I don't believe they're the fifth most talented.
They have a sixth man on any given night of the refs, and it's like it's too much money involved for that not to be one of those teams going forward. I mean, if Denver plays in a way that's like the best ever, like they did, then you can't beat them. But if it comes close,
Phoenix is better, Denver's better, Minnesota is even better.
OKC
will probably beat us. That's what I said. They're at least the fifth best team in the West.
There's a difference between best and who's going to win in the playoffs, because that's when suddenly the Lakers seem to get magically better. Like suddenly Rui Hachimura can't miss. Suddenly Austin Reeves is a superstar. Suddenly AD is putting 40 and 20 in.
I remind my podcast partner here that we got swept last year in the playoffs.
But how did you get?
Not only that, we got beat badly last year.
Because it finally got too much for even the refs to be able to keep up. All the other ones, they could tweak enough. And I'm just kind of doing this to wind it up a bit. But you know what I'm saying? Like, if we were to follow the conspiracy of Lakers get all the calls, you could say, yeah, those teams were mostly average, that they played easy enough to manipulate. But then you got to Denver, and it's like that ship was so well oiled and so rocking that like no foul calls were interrupting that, like steamship that was the Nuggets last year. Like the Nuggets were sure they were going to win, and something like nuclear would have had to stop them. And I think that's why they got swept.
There are certain franchises in this league that are never going to win. And
people used to say that about Toronto.
There's about 6 of them, and I can name them for you. The Hornets, the Pelicans, the Clippers, and there's a couple, and the Timberwolves. Yeah. Those franchises will never win.
Right now, I would give them better odds than a lot of other teams like Detroit and.
No, these franchises get in their own way though. Like
Atlanta,
the Timberwolves. Atlanta at least has periods where they're decently good.
Yeah, decent, but not good.
But these teams, like Minnesota, for example, they shouldn't have made the Rudy Gobert trade's going to haunt them for years, and they're never going to win with him, and they're going to have to start over, and they're going to be shitty again.
Now, should we put something on this as a receipt so that we can say if one of these teams wins the chip, that there'll be a public apology. Like let's say if the Clippers win this year, you got to wear a Clippers whatever comes in the mail.
I am so confident that the Clippers will not win this season. I will take that.
Oh, is this thing recording? Perfect.
It is. I am so confident that the Clippers will not win the championship this year. I will take that.
Ooh.
Because the Clippers will do Clipper things like they always do. And
they are stacked, though.
They ain't getting it done.
I'm curious. Yeah. Oh, now I'll be cheering for them in ways that never thought I would. Go Clips, go! Because it'll be a full Clippers ensemble. I'll find one that like Billy Crystal will wear.
I'll wear it proudly if the Clippers get it done.
I'll get the Clippers mascot thing out. Yeah.
Considering you're talking about a team that has never even been to the finals, I have nothing but confidence that the Clippers will not win the NBA title this year.
Okay. Who's your top after, since it's been about a month since we looked at the top teams, who's your check-in now for top 3 best likelihood of taking home the trophy, the big one?
I like Milwaukee still. I still gotta say Denver. And if I've got to throw a third team in there, because I said Milwaukee and Denver from the beginning.
That's right. That's right.
But if I have to throw a third team in there, I'm going to throw the Celtics in there. Because it's not just Brown and Tatum anymore. They have Porzingis now. And a year ago, I would have laughed at you had you said Porzingis is going to make the difference on this team. But Porzingis makes a difference on this team.
Big time. Big time. And he's got motivation. It's working well. Drew Holiday is the biggest addition to me. It's like,
I'm going to stick with my Milwaukee and Denver final that I picked at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
But if I'm gonna put a third team in there, because you asked me for 3, Boston would be my number 3 pick.
Okay, you're not going to put your guy Spoelstra in there? You're not seeing a Miami run?
Not deep enough.
Yeah.
I don't think Miami's deep enough.
Even
Sorry,
with
Rolla, I don't. Huh?
Even with the Spo?
Even with Spo. Because they're in the mix every year. And I'm sorry, Rolla, I just don't see it, brother.
Yeah. Okay, that was a strong 3.
Who's your top
you don't
3
think
Hornets?
Philly's got it in them, hey?
I believe in Philly as much as I believe in the Clippers.
That's fair, but dang, Embiid looks scary this year sometimes, man. He's toying
Who's
with
your
the
top
league.
3?
But we'll see. That's a big question mark with that team.
And can his knees hold up?
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I like OKC actually as my dark horse. If I were to pick 3, it would be Celtics, Nuggets, and OKC. And OKC, because they're young, they've got a guy that hasn't been tested yet on the big levels, except in national games of like his country, right, with Canada. I think Shea's ready for it. I think he's not going to blink. I think he'll like excel. Like he's not going to shy at the spotlight. He's going to like meet it.
If I'm not mistaken, that would mean that we both think it's going to be Boston, Milwaukee in the Eastern Conference Final.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a safe bet, actually. Like, it would be a shock.
Just based on the way we picked those 3 teams, we both have Boston and Milwaukee in the Eastern Conference Final.
Yeah, which I guess isn't that hot of a take, but it is, I think, accurate.
I think so. We have opposite teams winning, obviously, but we both have them in the final.
Yeah. Do you see any breakout? Like who really defines the year? Like, do you think a Jokic near the end of the season and playoff run? Like, I guess it would have to be somebody on one of those three teams. But do you see somebody having like a real stamp on the season this year that could really show people what's up?
I will give you a dark horse pick for that,
Mm.
and I'm gonna say Drew Holiday.
Whoa! I almost knew you were going to say that. Okay, crazy.
And the reason I say that is because it goes back to the first pod we had of the whole year, and I guess it would be the debut episode of the At the Buzzer podcast. Drew just puts that whole Boston situation in stabilization mode.
Hmm.
Like Marcus Smart was a point guard, sure, but he's no Drew Holiday.
No, and he's his own level of chaos, right? It's like he's not a stabilizer. He's like a fire starter, which is its own value, but it's not what they needed in that lineup. They didn't need a young, bullheaded, like strong energy guy. They needed a unicorn and a freaking OG, right? Like a Drew Holiday,
And
man.
you know what? Here's how much I respect the year that Kristaps is having. Kristaps, I apologize for the crap that I put you through for the last 5 years. Because you haven't been the unicorn that we were all expecting.
Yeah.
And I am proud to see how far you've come as a
Mhm.
player and grown into this role on the Celtics team.
Yeah, it's respectful.
That's as much praise as I'm gonna give Kristaps because I think I've said all I need to say in that situation.
Yeah, I think the Celtics are still going to choke.
You
they
have them in.
they just seem like a little bit like there's still something underneath it all that Jalen Brown's going to like trip on his own feet and
See,
just at the wrong
that's how I
moment.
feel about the Clippers. That's basically my challenge to the Clippers. Don't trip on your own feet.
But they've got a living version of that in Harden, though, right? Like come playoff time, he's the guy that's going to trip on his feet, and same with Jalen Brown a little bit in terms of big moments. But uh, I think Milwaukee's going to be ready for the moment if they're healthy because Giannis is just that dude, right? He's just
I lost a little bit of love for Giannis with this whole did you have a bad year? I think he totally mishandled that, but that's a small thing.
yeah, and his chasing down the game ball and some of his antics are a little bit much.
See, I don't know. Okay, we didn't get a chance to talk about this because it's been a month. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna hit on this while I got you here. The 50 points thing, he's done that before. So what's the point in going and get the ball if you've done something before?
I don't know.
Like like I'm confused.
I felt like it was a flex thing and like somebody that just like was like, no, we get the ball, and somebody else just like took it and went home, and he's like, not on my watch. You know what I mean? Like a playground thing of like, it wasn't
Like,
even about the 50 points. It was about him getting to do what he wanted. And he wanted to just take the ball and he didn't
like
get it.
the more I think about Giannis Antetokounmpo, the more I realize he might never get back to another ship. Even though I picked Milwaukee to be in the finals, I think Denver's gonna win because I don't. Giannis over the last couple of years has started to show chinks in his armor.
Hmm.
Is what I'm saying, and at first I thought it was uncharacteristic of him. But the more time you spend with Giannis Antetokounmpo, the more you realize he's an insecure superstar. And the reason I bring that up is everybody gives KD crap all the time for it. And now I'm starting to realize he's not the only one.
Mm.
Giannis is just as bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't ignore the fact that tonight he just made a statement with a 40-point stomp on the Celtics, but um,
Hey, OKC stomped Portland with 139-77. So,
I mean, Portland's the worst team in the league, or one of them, and Boston's at the top. But um,
but to win a game by 60 points in the NBA,
that's it's
that's a statement. That's a statement, regardless of who it's against, in my opinion.
big time. And OKC's had lots of statement games. Giannis has had a few, but he's also had some things where you go, ooh, see how this goes with the new coach, older team, inconsistent. We'll see, but he is that dude. So is Dame, and that counts for a lot.
I don't know. Is Dame that dude?
We'll find out this year. We'll find out because it's his first real competition, right? He hasn't had real playoff competition in 4 or 5 years. So we'll see if he's that dude when it matters, because that's the whole thing, man. It's like when it matters, can you pull it off for 5 series? Is that how many it is? Yeah, 5 series.
4.
4. Okay. But yeah, possibly 28 games. Can you possibly stick it straight for 28 more games in the season and be the best of the best and the best do, and they come out on top? And we'll see who comes out on top this year, because I have honestly no idea. It feels like it hasn't emerged yet who's a true favorite. Like, I think Denver and the ones we've talked about are sitting pretty comfortably at the top, and like reasonably that could be assumed that's the teams we'll see. But there's also a feeling that there could be a shakeup or two coming, especially before the trade deadline, that changes everything. Like, I have a weird instinct or feeling like the table hasn't been fully set yet. I feel like there's a couple things that are going to happen that will
No,
substantiate the table.
and it's gonna come down to who's healthy, and there are so many factors, and there's still a long way to go.
Yeah,
But we can only go on the evidence that we have to this point in the season.
true,
We
true,
can't project the future. We can only go on what we have.
true. And yeah, if you're to look at wins and clutch points and who's had the hardest schedule and who's kind of like, been playing playoff basketball the most.
You know what I noticed too is we both like just discredited Sacramento. We didn't put Sacramento in anything.
Why would you? Why would you? They haven't given us any reason to yet. It's like your team's the same as the one that didn't do anything in the playoffs. It's you got to show us something different before we take you seriously, because we've already seen the regular season strength. But you still lose to Steph Curry in the clutch moments, and still,
I don't think Golden State's gonna be there.
probably not. But Sacramento has to show up, actually take the seat this time, because it's ready to be taken in California there.
Do you see a world where it's possible that we could see a Sacramento Minnesota series?
Yeah, I don't think the NBA would love it, but I could see it. I could see it actually.
That would be a fun series.
Yeah, I could see Indiana, Milwaukee being a really fun series. I could see New Orleans and
Now that brings me to Indiana. With Halliburton being out for an extended period of time,
yeah,
can Indiana stay in a playoff spot?
we'll see what their schedule is like and what the other guys play like without him.
Because Halliburton was kind of the driving force of that team.
He's the driver. Yeah, man. What a steal he is. Like, man, oh man. We'll see. I don't have faith like that Buddy Hield and the rest can really carry it. It seems like it's really Halliburton's team. So it's like
Buddy
Doncic.
Hield. I wonder what went wrong with him. He went from highly touted prospect to nobody ever talks about him.
One dimensional, I think. He's just kind of always done the same things and he doesn't have more paints than that. It's like needs the ball a lot, score.
He's the type of guy that'll get numbers on a bad team.
Yeah, and that's been the reputation, and nothing's really changed from that, right? And I don't know if that's circumstance or just lack of opportunity, or you know what I mean? Like I don't know. But he's looking good
I
this
don't know.
season.
I just thought that was interesting because we used to hear a lot about Buddy Hield, and then all of a sudden he went to from everything to nothing.
Yeah, yeah, no, he's probably one of the bigger names that got quiet. It'd be like if Shea went quiet all of a sudden. Um,
Yeah, but it seems like Shea's kind of proven he has the ability at least. Like
yeah,
with Buddy, it doesn't feel like anybody's ever gotten like, oh man, this guy could have been something. At least with Shea, you kind of go, you can see sparks of what he could be.
yeah, yeah. Honestly, when you look at the potential of somebody like that, it's like the most I see. Where De'Aaron Fox, love him. Don't know if I'd bet them to win a playoff series based on De'Aaron Fox, and that's not an indictment on him entirely, but it's not speaking well of the team as a whole for sure.
Well, it's too the the style of play in the playoffs is different.
Hmm.
You don't just go up and down the court in the playoffs.
No, and you might just get your chest stomped on.
See, that's what I mean. The the Draymond thing really gets to me.
Check this out. 3 7-footers, all European, are the victims. He's got like an MO. Gobert, Sabonis, and Nurkic. All European,
And,
all over 7 feet, all have
and you
faces that you kind of want to punch. So I get that. I get that.
know, and you know what? Here's my message to Draymond because I know Draymond has his own podcast, so he's probably not gonna hear this one. But I'm gonna say it anyway. Draymond, in the '80s, Kevin McHale would have kicked your ass, and you wouldn't be able to do the things that you're doing right now. Because Kevin McHale would have beat your ass and you'd be humbled and you'd shut the hell up. I'm telling you right now, if Kevin McHale was playing in today's NBA or a Bill Laimbeer, there'd be no room for a Draymond Green. He'd be a nobody.
I gotta say though, I respect that he didn't hit anybody smaller than him. They're all
Nah, he just
substantially larger.
choking everybody. You don't think if Rudy Gobert wanted to, he could have just bear hugged him and slammed him to the ground?
Oh no, that's the point. That's the point, right? Is that like he knows these guys could turn around and like end him, and he still went for it like a crazy person. Like
No, not like a
respect,
crazy person. He is a
respect.
crazy person.
But at least it was like I was saying, much larger people that could have destroyed him. At least there's a
Could have.
respectability in
If
that.
they wanted to, they would.
Yeah, like there is something though that I do respect of like if you're gonna be recklessly like
That would be like me going and trying to jump Brock Lesnar. I could do it, but it wouldn't be smart.
that's it, but I'd respect you for it. Wouldn't recommend it, but I'd respect you. Yeah, it's a mixed bag with that guy. Kevin McHale,
I
man.
don't know what to say.
What about the guy that used to play with Jabbar all the time, Bill Walton? What would he have to say about all that?
I don't know because the old heads have a different way of looking at things.
Yeah, There was some, I think it was on Bomani's podcast. They were talking about like the greatest shifts from like hero to villain in sports. And I can't remember what example they're using. Hulk Hogan came up of like, was that the biggest in your memory when somebody went from like being the hero to the villain? And he thought so. But I was trying to think if there's been other ones, especially in terms of the NBA, when it'd be like he compared
You
it to
know
like if
who
Michael Jordan went to the Pistons. He's like, it was that big of a thing, you know? And I was like,
you know
yeah,
who went from who went from a big hero to a big villain was Scottie Pippen.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, think about it. We loved Scottie.
Just seemed like
We
a
did.
class act. Yeah,
We loved Scottie because we're like, okay, he's Robin and he knows he's Robin, and we love Scottie for all. Like, one thing Scottie doesn't realize is the fans appreciated Scottie Pippen.
yeah,
We
yeah. He wanted
we
more
all
of them. Yeah,
we all said Michael's not the same without Scottie. We all said it. But the thing is, you're right, Scottie wanted more. His ego wouldn't let things lie.
it's like, yeah, there was
And
never.
he just went from superhero to supervillain because he turned his back on us after we supported him.
Man, yeah. I think about two names that already come to mind: Phil Jackson and Carmelo Anthony, both in the same place.
But you know what? You know what? I will say this for Carmelo, not so much for Phil, but Carmelo eventually was on his way back to regaining hero status.
And I think he did come full circle, to be honest. Yeah,
He did, yeah, he did come full circle.
yeah,
And one thing about it is like the other person that comes to mind, and I know people have forgiven him, and I kind of have too, because it's not as big a deal now that he's retired. But you want to know transformation from greatest hero to greatest villain? You got to put Vince Carter's name in there.
oh, yeah, yeah,
To
yeah,
go from a beloved franchise player to the most hated man in an entire country, you got to put him on the list.
yeah. That's a big one, man. LeBron probably
Now,
too
I
for a couple. Yeah,
Now, I will say that I have forgiven Vince. I still don't like talking about it because it's still a sore spot for me. But
yeah,
I have forgiven Vince.
yeah,
But
yeah. He
but
seems like a
but
good
I'm
guy.
saying you got to put him on the list for the way he treated Toronto.
Yeah, that's pretty dirty. I mean, he should still be in consideration for a statue or something, sure, but maybe not because of that. You know what I mean? Like it would be unquestionable if he'd stayed, but then it's like, oh, but if you look at it through the whole picture, it's hard to ignore the abandonment.
And I get the Hulk Hogan thing being a wrestling fan because he was beloved by millions, and I know it's scripted, but nobody saw that move coming.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
Exactly, and it was
but
like a
you
big
know
money thing too, right?
and here's the thing, and I'm gonna bury him one more time on this podcast. You got to put Dame on the list.
Yeah,
Dame
yeah.
has to be on the list
I bet you he's not getting a ton of warm welcomes in Portland. I bet he gets golf claps.
because remember what I said. Even I, as a Laker fan, believed in Dame, and
Yeah,
I felt betrayed, and it wasn't even my guy or my team.
yeah. I would have
And
liked
you
to
know
see him
what?
do one more go.
Huh?
I would have liked to see him do one more go in Portland, bring in a superstar.
And here's the thing, and I'm not gonna rehash old things, but you asked biggest villain hero to villain stories. You got to put Dame on the list.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not going to ignore that. Maybe, yeah. More and more keep coming to mind. Actually, there's the Jaw story. He's trying to come full circle.
Well, I don't want to put him on the list because And you know what? This I said it last month, and I'll say it again. That's strike two, Jaw. I'm
You know,
still pulling. I'm still pulling for you, Jaw. But this is it. If you mess up again, I'm gonna wipe my hands clean of the whole situation.
yeah, yeah. I think yeah, he's young enough, but yeah, there's only so many chances. What about Aaron Rodgers? Let me throw that one at you. Former beloved ball thrower of the
I
Green
don't.
Bay Packers.
Well, see, here's why I don't put Aaron on the list.
Okay,
Because Aaron's always been a prick. He,
he's never
Aaron
been a hero,
Aaron
is
was
what you're saying. Yeah,
Aaron was never loved by anybody, including the people of Green Bay.
beautiful. That's well put. Yeah.
They tolerated Aaron because Aaron brought them a championship.
Mm.
But I don't think he was ever beloved by anybody, and that's why I didn't throw his name on.
Ooh, I got one that's actually quite relevant, unfortunately not to basketball, but Bill Belichick retiring has an arc that's similar to that of being a total hero and then a fucking villain and a half to the rest for the rest of his career, it seemed, you know.
Well, see, this is why I love all sports, right? The
Mm,
basketball thing is just something we do because we love basketball.
yeah,
And Bill
much as they let
Belichick,
us. Yeah.
indulge me for a moment here on at the buzzer while I do my homage to Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick is a grouchy Oscar the Grouch looking. I should be living in a trash can. I can't afford nothing more than a hoodie. You
Hmm.
know, piece of garbage. And I'm gonna say this about Bill Belichick. He's not as great as people think he is. Yeah, he got 7 Super Bowl rings. People forget he cheated for 3 of those.
And those are the ones you get
And
caught.
and that's just what he got caught. And he had Tom Brady,
Yeah,
who, if you haven't noticed since Tom left, Belichick ain't done nothing.
that was a pretty big indictment. Can't argue that. It's like, yeah, you could have left then
So
too, there,
you
Billy boy.
so you'll have to forgive me if I don't have the love for Mr. Belichick that everybody else does. And with all that being said, I will say that he's a future Hall of Famer
Yeah,
because they got to
yeah.
put him.
But I think he did move from being sort of everybody's beloved favorite grouch to being just a grouch, right? Like when Popovich kind of moved into that territory for a while there, where it's like, oh, you're not even a good coach anymore. You're just grumpy old man.
You're not even
And
the lovable grump anymore.
yeah, yeah. And I feel like he fell into that over the last while and walked away
You know
probably at
what
the
I
right
think it
time.
is? You know what I think? I will defend Pop on this though. That seemed to change after we lost Craig Sager.
Hmm.
When he lost his arguing buddy, that seemed to be when Pop was like, okay, it's not fun anymore. I'm just going to be the grumpy old guy.
And yeah, it's like he lost the partner in crime, eh?
So he lost his partner in crime.
Hmm.
So I'm more forgiving of Popovich than I am of Belichick.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what? The last one I can think of is Lance Armstrong, and I don't even hold it against him. I think he got a bad bout on that one um,
You
because
know
he was
what?
doing what everybody was doing.
Here's the thing. I respect Lance. And it's sad. It and this is my, and I'm not even a cycling fan. I don't know nothing about the Tour de France. I don't know how many stages it is. I don't know none of that stuff. But the reason the Lance thing is so personal to me is because he was kind of a false inspiration to so many people.
Hmm.
He had he beat cancer thing. He was the 6 time Tour de France champion. He had the world at his fingertips, and then everything comes out.
Yeah, like a blur. Like I don't even remember all the details other than just like,
I don't either.
yeah,
I don't
just
either. But the fact that you'd exploit your cancer, and the fact that you, and you know what? The other thing is, it took him too long to come clean.
mm,
If he had just been like, you know what, guys, I messed up. I was on something the whole time. I could have accepted that.
yeah.
But the fact that it was years after he was done, I got a problem with that. Gee. And I got one more too while I'm sitting here because more names are flooding to me.
Yeah.
You want to talk about biggest heroes to villains? I got one for you. How about Tiger Woods?
Oh, that's funny. He was my next in the back of the mind there. I was like, oh, I wonder if, yeah, man. And he's relevant today too, walking away from Nike, or who knows what happened there, but he's left Nike
Yeah,
yesterday.
I don't know if he so much walked away. I don't know if somebody wakes up one day and go, I'm gonna walk away from all this Nike money. I don't see that happening.
No, it seems very confusing. It seems like, how did he not have a lifetime deal? And maybe it has to do with some of these extracurricular activities that he was exposed on. And um, man, Kobe walked that line, and RIP to him, but he came full circle, right? He went from hero, moment of villainy, and then a full circle back, right? It was like,
Well, the thing with the thing with Mamba, because I was very disappointed in Mamba too. I was like, he's a Laker, but I can't really get behind him. But then he's just Kobe was always the kind of guy. For me. I look at it like I look at Jaw.
mm,
You messed up. Now show me you were wrong.
yeah, like you were
And
18 when you came in. It's understandable to the extent that
Kobe.
you didn't grow up.
And the thing is, you could see the growth in Kobe.
That's
I
it.
don't see the
That's the key, man.
I don't see the growth in Jaw. I don't see the growth in Jordan Poole. I don't see growth in a Ben Simmons.
Hmm.
Kobe matured. Kobe won an Oscar.
He taught himself how to play, or no, he got lessons and stuff. He learned how to play piano, like classical piano, not like ding ding ding, like do 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 do. Like he would finish and
Like,
go play piano.
and there's a reason why I keep saying I'm rooting for Jaw
Mm.
because there's nothing better in sports than a redemption arc. And please, Jaw, give us a redemption arc.
Yeah, man, I can't believe the shoulder thing. Jeez, did you see it happen,
No, thankfully.
man?
I saw Gordon Hayward's bone sticking out of his ankle when it happened to him because it was on TNT.
Oof.
And my stupid ass tried to call my best friend, and I was like, "Come see this, Dad. Come see this, buddy." And he's like, "What?" He's like, "Gordon Hayward's got a bone sticking out of his ankle." He's like, "I don't want to see that."
There's been some bad ones on live TV, man.
He's like, "Why would I want to see that?"
Ugh, yeah, man.
But I'm not. I
Redemption.
think the thing
Man.
too is with Kobe, he didn't mess up multiple times. Yeah, his allegations were serious, but it turns out he was innocent. Number one,
Mm.
and number two, if I'm willing to give Jaw three tries, why wouldn't I extend that courtesy to other people?
Yeah, yeah, it makes sense, man. It's like, yeah, giving people benefit of the doubt before becoming naive.
Like especially with Jaw, he's still a young guy.
Yeah.
The first time you mess up, I can go, okay, Jaw, I get it. Your boys are on the block. This is where you want to be. I get it. Second time, I kind of go, Ja, really?
You're just not very
Really,
smart, are
Ja?
you? Yeah.
No, but I can let that slide. I can let it go. But
Yeah.
if it happens a third time, I'm be like, I tried to rock with you, man. I tried,
There's a limit.
and, and that's the whole thing. And even with Brady, I did it, but he got caught cheating 3 times.
Yeah,
You
I don't have
can't.
a whole.
And
Yeah.
no, no. But my point is not whether you're a football fan or not. My point is that third strike is where I draw the line with everybody, and I can't put Tom Brady in that greatest quarterback conversation because of the rule. Like it's not specific to one sport, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense, man. And yeah, I don't have any real respect for Tom Brady that way in comparison to the other greats, because it doesn't seem like it was that earned compared to what the other ones were. It seems like there was a handicap that was involved that was similar to LeBron's in his career, where it's like, you're already great. They don't need to be padding you with this extra padding, but they're doing it anyways, and you're exploiting it to the max. It's hard to look at you as the greatest if you've exploited the handicap that's been given on every single major game or
And
non-major.
here's another thing about LeBron, because they always talk about Jordan and the Wizards thing, right? How Jordan went to the Wizards and nobody ever talks about it.
Number 45.
Nobody nobody ever talks about LeBron and him destroying franchises when he leaves town. Nobody brings that up. Everybody just talks about how great LeBron's been.
Well, he's lucky that Cleveland found a way to stabilize and rebuild itself after he left, because they could be one of those teams that's at the bottom that just would be forever the black eye of his, of like, ooh, Cleveland's there because of blank. Um,
And that's the thing. Like I know this is probably the most depressing episode of At the Buzzer we've had
we like to
in
bring
the
that
first
in
11.
January. It is that season. We get dark. It's the dark season.
But we got about 13 minutes, so I got two quick ones for you.
Yo.
One New Year's resolution,
Yeah.
and and then I'm gonna have you do your dude of the month because it's been a month since we've been
Ooh.
back at this. So
Ooh, 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 ooh. Great two questions. Okay. New Year's resolutions, man. I think there's I'm kind of constantly in resolution mode where I'm trying to figure out little things. So right now I'm trying to get myself more organized, and I'm gonna expand on it a little bit by saying it's like being more clean. Like I just jump from things too much, of like pretty quick attention deficit or moving attention. And I was listening to this audiobook of a guy that researched chefs and how they go about their days of just setting up their stations properly, and everything's like set up for flow and all this good stuff. And I was just like, man, this year I'm going to be more organized and work clean. Whatever I'm doing, I'm going to work clean.
mine is almost the same.
Mm,
For me, mine is focus.
yeah.
You've heard me say earlier in the podcast, or maybe it was when we're off air. You heard me say that I tend to come and go from the sports network channel specifically.
Mm,
I'm going to try and not necessarily pump out more content, but just be more focused with it. I guess
mm, yeah.
if that
Yeah.
makes more sense.
Like strong intention with the actions and stuff like that.
Yeah, like I'm I won't say that I'm not going to take 2 or 3 week breaks because that might happen,
Yeah.
but I'm going to try to be more diligent and focused on what I do with the channel.
Yeah, that's a good one, man. And yeah, little acts of reinforcing it, I'm being told, are, you know, really, really healthy of like doing small ones, like you're saying, being realistic, and then having that feeling of it building on itself of like, oh, you know what? I stayed extra focused on this one thing today. Wasn't for a huge time, but I did it. Excellent. I'm going to do that again tomorrow, and it sort of like builds on itself of just the little wins.
Hmm.
We miss those all the time. I know everybody does. And they're like harsh on themselves in the sense they don't.
And we forget to be grateful for them.
Yeah, for both the actions that we do and also just the gifts that we get for being alive and not in immediate danger or suffering. Right? It's cold out there, man.
Due to the week.
Dude of the week. Oh, speaking of coldness, um,
Or
man.
due to the month.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's gonna have to be due to the month. I feel like it was pretty
I got
scattershot.
mine already.
Yeah, hit me with yours as I sit on this.
RJ Barrett.
Oh, nice one, nice one. Okay, I could see that. Got anything specifically?
Revitalize two things. One, he rejuvenated the Raptors.
Hmm.
And two, and this is gonna sound funny, but I think the Raptors rejuvenated him.
Yeah, I think that's what they're betting on too, right? It was like, oh, I wonder if a new start for him would, you know, provide some extra potential. I was like, yeah, it did. Yeah, that's a really good
So
one.
I'm gonna say my dude of the month goes to RJ Barrett.
Man, that's a really good one. I was thinking of sticking with the Canadian theme, and Ben Matherin comes to mind because he had a couple monster games, and they've been playing so well. But I think I'll go West Coast and look at some of the top teams there. Not
The
going
Croc.
Minnesota, not going OKC, not going to go Clippers. I was gonna just for kicks, yeah, go with our guy Kawhi, but
Well,
um,
I think that would be a good pick actually, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but when you sign a 3-year, $152 million contract, I think that's enough to make you do to the month.
yeah, and honestly, out of all of
That's
his months over the last 3 years, this last month or two has probably been his most productive, consistent, showing up to work, lunch pail, just getting things done at an efficient, um, strong pace. Yeah, let's give it to him. Let's give it to him and see what happens.
all right. G's gotten a little busier over the last month or so,
And
and
it's going to
that's
be getting a little
partial.
quieter now, so hopefully be a lot more time for some content.
We'll be back on schedule, hopefully. But like I said, you guys have to understand, G and I communicate all the time. We'll try to get this out weekly. We'll do our best. The days might be a bit random, but that's my guy right there, and I'm sticking with him.
That's it. With our New Year's
Uh,
resolutions, man, we'll be more organized and focused. It'll just seep in. It'll seep into what we're doing. It's good experiments to use this as that. Right?
and until next time, may your ego come from a place that keeps you humble. I know G's missed that. I'm Mo Money.
Missed you
Mamba
too,
out.
man.
You bet. Any parting words for the people as we end the first podcast of 2024?
Yeah, man. Thank you. Be kind to yourselves. Be gentle and kind to yourselves because when it starts there, it goes to the other people and stuff. So channel that and be good to each other, folks.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And we'll see you hopefully next week, everybody. Enjoy.